All right, Shalom. First and foremost, I would like to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem Rakakwadash. Double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers. And peace and blessing salutations to hopefully out there pushing his word in truth and in sincerity across the four winds in the name of Yahweh Bashem Al Shai, pushing to get up out of here. Shalom to the hopeful leg of the believers, the listeners whom have came back to the obedience of the scriptures through faith in Yahweh Bashem Al Shai. All right. Well, I want to get into today. Dealing with the times we're going into, we have to prepare our minds, all right, to downgrade our lifestyle, and that's one thing that we have to start accepting now, because as this system collapse, we're going to be in the midst of it, all right, and these things that's happening, the job market, the government assistance, the inflation, okay, and all these different things, well, we're gonna be in the midst of it, all right, and we're gonna be affected. You know, the difference is, okay, we have a power, all right, that's not gonna leave us for dead in these times, okay, but we understand that we are, all right, going to be affected by these times. You see, but we good, okay, and this is why now our mindset has to be towards detaching. Okay, we shouldn't be, you know, have any attachments that we can't break loose within this world, because we're gonna have to let go of things. It's gonna be gradually, and then it's gonna come to a time to where we just gonna have to have that faith where we're walking on water. There's gonna be a time to where, cause scrape, when you go into scrapes, it's gonna be a time of difficulty to where we're not gonna have the ability to pay bills. We're not gonna have the ability and access to food. Okay, we're not gonna have those comforts and convenience that we want. And this is a time where the church, is gonna have to really have that charity. That true charity. You see, and this is why the scriptures say a good name is better than, matter of fact, let's get that. And this is why within this grace period, this is the time to have a good name. Because we're in a time now, if you wasn't, around, and you Johnny come latelys, and you just popping up like, nah, man, it's gonna be understood like who was there, who been down, who been solid, who been serious about this thing. Okay, because you go into the church as we went into with the Apostle Paul, even their word for system for, that they had for the the women in the church of Ephesus, those when you go into those widows, where they had to be of a good report. Okay, those resources wasn't just for anybody popping up in distress. No, they was for widows that had a good report. Okay, and this is why I believe that's let's see, Ecclesiastes. Yep, this is Ecclesiastes 7:1. It says a good name is better than precious ointment, and in the day of death than the day of one's birth. So a good name is better than precious ointment, because first we want to have a good name in the heavens. This is why, like I say, the only thing that's finna matter is whom the Lord has favor on. All right, that's why it's going to be known in the time of affliction whom is chosen, because their favor is going to kick in and it's going to be undeniable. Okay, so in this grace period, this is why it's the time to be in good standings with our power. Okay, to have a good names in the heaven. You see, we want to have first the good names in the heaven. The Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah, pleased at what we're doing. Okay, and then amongst the body, because if we're pleasing to the Lord by default, we're going to be pleasing to the body. Because the only way to be pleasing to the Lord, all right, is because Yahweh Shah said, love, the Most High, thy heart, mind, and soul, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And the spirit keep bringing that out, because that's a mindset Yahweh Shah was pushing. Okay, so we want the good names first and foremost in the heavens. That's why it doesn't matter what views to us. It doesn't matter about being popular. If we got a good name in the heavens, we can have two views. It's gonna be brothers that have 5 views of video. Okay, that the Lord gonna do miracles for in this time. You see, because it ain't about that. See, you got a good name in the heavens. You know, you got a good rapport. Amongst the brethren. Not that we were perfect, okay, because we all had, you know, ups and downs in this thing. Not that we was perfect, okay, but we was consistent. You know, you see, we was sincere. You see, so we in the time now. All right, in this grace period, this is the time for us to get a good name first and foremost in the heavens, man. Okay, because we coming into the clutch. You see, it's gonna come times. All right, like I say, the church gonna have to show, real charity and see we can't be attached. This is the time to detach here. We still have to operate and function. We got obligations, and you gotta do this and do that. Okay, but spiritually, man, we should be checked out of this place. Mentally, we should be checked out of this place, man. And sometimes you gotta assess what you got and understand. We should already be looking at our situation, be like, okay, what's gonna go first? Okay, this is like, what's my next downgrade play? And then situation where you might not need it, but just thinking in that way, all right, it's preparing us for we already know. Okay, what's to come? Okay, because we're not gonna be able to keep going at this rate forever, man. It's gonna be a big shift. Okay, so when you go to the book of 2nd Ezra 16 and 37, this is the main point of the topic. It said, "Behold, the plagues draw nigh, and are not slack, as when a woman with child in the 9th month bringeth forth her son, with 2 or 3 hours of her birth, great pains compares her womb, which pains when the child cometh forth, they slack not a moment." All right. So we're coming to a time where we're seeing an increase in prophecy, increase in judgment, increase in scarcity and poverty. Okay. Because all this is a part, the judgment of the Lord. Like I said, we're going to get caught up in this, man, to where we're going to be affected. You see, but we're not going to be neglected. See, we're going to be affected, and I'm not trying to rhyme. It sound like Jesse Jackson, but we're going to be, afflicted, but we're going to be affected, but we're not going to be neglected. Okay, we have to understand, and it's going to take a thing of patience where it's be moments where we seem like we neglected, all right, but we're being tried. We have to know we're being tried. Okay, so as the squeeze, is happening on this society, we're in that squeeze, but in the midst of that squeeze, we have to know that He is. You see, we got to be fully confident that He is in the midst of that, man. Okay, and it's only temporal. We're gonna be in temporal situations to try us. Okay, and then favor gonna come. All right, and that's just because we're gonna go through these times, and our faith is gonna be increasing as the Lord constantly comes through. To the point to where, hey, we're gonna have, our faith is gonna be on another level. We're in a time where we gotta expect miracles, man. And it ain't gonna be, we're gonna be in a situation to where ain't no practical way out. Okay, it's gonna come a point as a man, you ain't gonna be able to, move around and finesse and have a practical. It's gonna be way beyond us, man. The Lord gonna have to intervene. Okay, your family might be looking at you, look, nigga, the Lord gotta intervene. What I'm gonna do? The Lord gonna have to intervene. We gotta wait on the Lord. Okay, that's as men, we gotta have the understanding. Like, it's gonna get to a point to where we ain't gonna be able to. I'm not going to a grocery store fight with these niggas, man. You see what you want me to go out there and hunt? Nah. We look. We gotta wait. You see, you gotta leave room for the Lord to be great. Okay, because there's a point to where we're gonna have our hands tied in this situation. We're gonna have to wait on the Lord. Or just like Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Okay, they went into their furnace. They was tied up. You remember they was bound from feet to head. They all right. But then when they got put in the fire, And they looked in there and they seen Yahweh Shai in there with him and said, I seen four, all right, loosed. So Yahweh Shai loosed them. Not only did he protect them from the fire, but he loosed them from them bounds. You see? So it's going to be miracles that's going to, okay? It's going to be miracles that's going to, prevail. It's going to be the power of the Lord that's going to prevail. You see? So it says, even so shall not the plagues be slack, back in 2nd Ezra 16:39. Even so shall not the plagues be slack to come upon earth, and the world shall mourn, and the sorrow shall come upon it on every side. Okay? So it's that squeeze, because every side, like if a snake wrap around you, well, it's putting pressure on you from every side. All right. And this serpent, he has pressure. He's wrapped around, okay, the masses, man. Okay. But the elect going to be loosed out of it. You see, he's not going to crush us, to our, destruction. No, the elect going to be loosed out of that squeeze. Okay. But we have to have faith. We're going to be in it for a moment. You see, and we have to have faith that he is, man. Talking to myself, first and foremost. All right. Now reading on, it says, "Oh my people, hear my word, make you ready to thy battle, and in those evil be even as pilgrims upon the earth." So it says, make thyself ready to the battle, and that's here. You got to already know. Look, I know it's finna change. Shit gonna have to go. Okay, you gonna look houses. All right, your favorite couch, favorite TV, and we finna lose shit. We can't hold this shit, and really, I can't wait. You know what I'm saying? Cause I'm just ready, to be free of this shit. You see? All these possessions, man, damn this, man. It's gonna be time to let this shit go. So we can't be all wrapped up into this shit. We do what we gotta do, and we always, it's safe to have a mindset for, the long run, but then also have a mind to be pivot. Okay. If shit change immediately. Have a mindset to, okay, it's time to let this shit go. Well, this gotta go. Already be in your mind like this gonna go first. This okay. I can just make it with this. All I need is right. I can do this. I can down. I don't need this. You see, and just be thinking like that. Like, and it say you might not play like that because the Lord got to figure it out. Not trying to say you're trying to strategize your way out of it. But just thinking like that puts you in the mindset to when this shit's a reality. Then you already been, thinking towards that way anyway. Just, speaking as a man, just a perspective, to look from. And it says, he that selleth, let him be as he that fleeth away, and he that buyeth as one that will lose, he that occupy merchandise as he that have no profit by it, and he that buildeth as he that shall not dwell therein, he that soweth as if he should not reap, so also he that planteth the vineyard as he that shall not gather the grapes. Yeah, so as we're in the midst of, living, we all got things going on, but there's gonna be things unfinished. You might be building something, you might be starting a business, you might have a business, you might be elevating in your business, you might be thriving at work, you might have this going on, you might just started this or just started that. Okay, just because we just started something don't mean we're gonna complete it. Okay, remember, we're just buying time and waiting on Esau to fail. We really just passing time. Okay, we're pretty much prisoners just doing push-ups and pull-ups, waiting on release date, man. Okay, these little lives we got, man. You gotta look at this shit like push-ups and pull-ups. Okay, as we just wait on their release date, man. Okay, don't take nothing too serious, man. Be responsible adults. Okay, be responsible adults. Handle your business. Be proactive. Have, you got systems in place to run, your household. Okay, but as far as not being aware that okay, shit gonna change. I'm finna lose this shit. I think like that every day. Like I'm finna lose this shit. You look at it, it's cute. whatever, whatever situation, but then you gotta think, I'm finna lose this shit. Okay? This shit temporal. All right? We finna get back to something way better. But it's, we have to suffer and be uncomfortable before we get better. We have to be uncomfortable before we enter into this rest. We gonna have to get uncomfortable. Cause we finna have the greatest comfort. We finna have the greatest comfort ever. Okay? So we have to prepare our minds to get uncomfortable, all right, to be comfortable in the kingdom. We're gonna get uncomfortable in this kingdom. That's when you're transitioning. A transition is uncomfortable. It's it's new. You gotta get used to it. So we have just like when Jake was going through the wilderness. See, Jake didn't want to deal with being uncomfortable. They was provided for. Okay, they had manna, they had quail. All right, and that quail good as hell. And they say that manna, was heavenly. So we might be on a one you see a one dish menu to the kingdom. Okay, we might be on a one dish menu. Okay, it might be noodles and sardines all the way to the chariot show up. Okay, we got this shit. That's all we need. We just trying to survive. Remember, we finna get everything forever. We went into the the lesson about the golden age. I don't know if you brothers and sisters watch it, man, but come on, man, read 1 Kings 4, all right, and verses 20 on down, man. That's what we finna come back to. Okay, we gonna have luxury, exotic, and you see, you got forever to pop bottles. Okay, and feast, man, and the Lord, all right, is gonna give that to us, man. It's a promise. You see, but before we get there, we have to have the mind that we're gonna be downgraded in this world to be upgraded in the world to come. Matter of fact, we'll end it there. I don't make this long. All right, just putting this perspective out. It's the book of Luke chapter 9. All right, in verse 24, it said, "For whosoever will save his life, all right, shall lose it." And how are people going to try to save their life in this society? They're going to get that C-hip. Okay, because that C-hip is going to be the promise, all right, for normalcy. Okay, that C-hip, okay, is going to be that promise, all right, to better an upgrade, a utopia. Because he's going to market the C-hip as utopia. Okay, a digital utopia. That's how he's going to market it. Okay, and people are going to want to revive what they had before the chaos, what they had before the civil unrest. Okay, and our people that do that, they done. They just, signed up for a missile, man. They just signed up for the wrath of the Lord without mixture. They just betrayed their king on a whole nother level. Yahweh Shai is coming to take over the earth. Our king is coming to take over the earth. Okay, you take that C-hip, that's you betraying him right before he come back. That's the ultimate betrayal. There ain't no coming back from that. Okay, that's why it's emphasis on that. All right, so going back into it, Luke 9:24, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it." Okay, the same shall save it. You see, so we gotta be ready to lose these lifestyles and we gotta be ready to lose this shit, man. And the Lord be testing us now. Certain things that the Lord snatched that shit away from us, man. Like, nigga, give me that. He put us in a position to what you gonna hold on to this shit. It's either me or this. The Lord put us in that position. It's either me or this. What you gonna do? He do that now. Okay? It's me or this. What you gonna do? Okay? And it's getting us ready to let all this shit go. So that's the point. Just wanted to tap into that. Lord will, you brothers. All right. And you sisters was edified once again. I'm going to give all praise and glory unto Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Kakwadash, and double honors unto the apostles and the elders of GMS who rule well, teach well, being great examples to his younger brothers, and peace and blessing and salutation, hopefully. Shalom.